Welcome to the So You Want to Be a Data Scientist podcast. Here we interview awesome data scientists and other data professionals. This show is part of the website soyouwannabeadatascientist.com. After listening, take my free data science Kickstarter course to learn what it takes to become a data scientist. In the meantime, enjoy the episode. Hi everyone, and welcome to So You Want to Be a Data Scientist podcast. Today I have Susan Walsh with me. She is the classification guru. Welcome, Susan.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time to be here. So you are the classification guru, and that's also the name of your company. Can you tell us a bit about what you do there?
Yes, so I came up with the name because I had worked at a spend analytics company beforehand, and all I did was classify for 5 years. And I felt like I was an expert at it, and I thought nobody else is going to tell me I'm an expert. I have to tell other people. So that's where the name came from. And what I do for my clients is I generally work with a lot of procurement teams, and I take their financial data, which can come from many different systems, and I classify it and normalize it. So first I normalize it. So things like IBM, I.B.M, IBM Inc., they'll all get normalized to IBM. And then I will then classify that data with a taxonomy, which either they will have already, so it could be something like the UNSPSC or E-class or an internal taxonomy. Or what I'm finding more increasingly is that clients want me to build a customized taxonomy for their business. So it's specific to their needs, to their language, to how they work. And that taxonomy is normally about 4 levels. So you might have something like IT is level 1, hardware is level 2, level 3 might be laptop, desktop, computer. You might have accessories, you might have peripherals, and then within peripherals you might have mouse, keyboard, docking station, headset. And I'll go through the data and I'll take the invoice line descriptions and I will classify the information. So what you'll find is that you'll either have really great descriptions like keyboard, mouse, pen, pencil, paper, or you'll have something like office supplies, which is really broad and vague. And I'll group all those descriptions together under the taxonomy categories so that when it's all classified, the supplier will be able to look at their data and say, okay, oh my goodness, we're spending 200 million with IBM, or we're not spending 200 million, but we thought we were. And, you know, how many suppliers are we buying office supplies from? We have 100 suppliers here. Well, we only need 2, maybe 3. Let's negotiate some better rates. So there's a whole lot of information that your data can tell you about what's going on within your business, who is buying things that they shouldn't be, or who's buying things with the wrong supplier. And a lot of organizations just don't have that detail right now, so I can help them get that.
Nice. So you're not only doing the cleaning of the data, but it sounds to me like you're also creating some insights and deliver it to the businesses.
Sometimes, not always. I wouldn't class myself as an analyst or a spend analytics person. My specialism is the classification. However, by classifying the data and going through it, I instinctively will pick up trends within the data that I can pass on to the clients.
Yeah, and that's also what I keep saying to our audience too. Sometimes even the exploration and cleaning of the data is a very important part of the whole data science process because you learn so much about your data and the type of thing that you're working with.
Yeah, the other thing is it's really important to work with your data regularly because then you become familiar with it. So when things are wrong or don't look right, they stick out straight away.
That's awesome though. Like it's crazy that you came up with this idea while you were working for someone else and you have your own business.
It is because everyone was focusing on selling the analytics service and the software around it, and that's, you know, expensive, and, you know, they charge a lot of money for that. But actually, like 80-90% of the work behind it is the classification piece. You can't do any of the analytics without accurate data. But nobody was talking about that bit. It was almost like, the don't talk about it, smoke and mirrors, let's say the machine learning is doing it or it's automated, but actually it's the majority of data classified is done by people somewhere in the world. Nobody was talking about it, so I was like, right, well, I'm going to talk about it.
Yeah, and that's also it's such an underestimated part of data science. Also, as you said, also on my projects, I was spending at least 50% of my time cleaning the data, trying to make sense of it, trying to understand how everything actually works together, and turning it into a data set that I can actually use in my analysis. So that's extremely important. But as you said, no one is really talking about it. That's also very surprising to me.
Yeah, because I hear people saying, well, we've had data problems, or I've been talking about data problems for 20, 30 years. And I think it's because people focus on the wrong part of the problem. They focus on the output of the data, but actually they should be really focusing on the input. So we have to be more careful about the data that we input as well. So I just posted, I think it was yesterday, about I had a spelling of freight which looked nothing like freight, as in shipping costs. It was spelled Frgghgt or something like that. I mean, someone had not even tried to spell it correctly. And there's lots of that going on with people who maybe don't care about what they're doing, or they don't understand the importance of the data that they're inputting, or how it affects their colleagues, because it's their colleagues that have to pick up the slack.
Yeah, this is definitely extremely valuable what you're doing for businesses. And how did you end up where you are? Like, what was your journey so far?
It's been a bit wild. So I graduated university with a degree in commerce. Didn't really know what career path I wanted to take, so I went into merchandising. So I used to go to retail stores and merchandise paint, make sure it was to the planogram, and train some staff up in the paint. And then I moved on to a little bit of recruitment, and then fell into telesales, and then sales, and then I got into account management. So I spent a good nearly a decade doing FMCG blue chip work within companies. And then I realised that I wasn't very happy doing that. So I decided to open a women's clothes shop where I live. And set up the shop myself, signed the lease, bought every single piece of furniture and clothing and equipment for the shop. Um, was there for about 8 months, and then it was just so expensive I couldn't sustain it. So I desperately needed a new job, just anything, and saw an ad online for some data classification work, and that's where it all started. And I went to work for that spend analytics company for 5 years, and then decided that um, there was an opportunity. So, and I didn't know where else I could do the job that I was doing, because I hadn't come from an IT or data background or a procurement background. So I didn't know where I could get a job doing the same thing. I'm not an analyst. So I thought, well, I'll just set up my own company and do it myself instead.
That's such a great example of taking initiative. Also, like it's not like you have a background in data, but all of a sudden this is something that you like, this is something that you want to work on, and yeah, you just start your own company. I think that's really admirable.
Or stubborn is also the but I mean, I had massive imposter syndrome at the start, because I knew that I was good at what I did, but didn't really have the credentials to back it up. So for the last 3.5 years, which is how long I've had the business, I've been establishing myself as an expert in my area. And along the way, I've picked up data scientists, the data world, analysts, and the procurement people who I was targeting initially. So it's been really great, and now I do really feel confident in my knowledge. But, it definitely wasn't like that at the start.
Yeah, I can imagine. But I feel like imposter syndrome is something everyone has, even if they're like the best in their area, especially women, I
Yeah.
feel like.
Oh, definitely. But I mean, you could just have imposter syndrome being a housewife. It doesn't even have to be, having a business. It could be anything.
Yeah, exactly. I think the key is, at least that's what I feel in the last years, that I've also been trying to kind of see myself from a different mirror. I'm like, I'm a capable and competent person, you know? It's just to work through it and just recognize that everyone feels this, and see how you can improve yourself from where you are. It's the best all of us can do.
I think self belief is the first bit. So not necessarily belief that other people will believe you or respect you, but just self belief that what you are doing, you are the best at, or you're good at.
Nice. And have you gotten any qualifications other than the first job that you got as in data? But did you get any like online courses and stuff?
No, not at all. No, I've got nothing. I did try and do a Python course a few years ago, but it was you just had to read the screen and follow the instructions, and I don't learn very well like that. I'm much better watching people and then doing it. So I gave up on that, and I guess I just feel like I've not had much time since then, really, to do anything else. But yeah, I think I still would like to learn to code one day. Not because I want to do it as part of my job. I just think it would be a really interesting thing to learn. Um, Another thing is, I would say, know what you are good at and let other people do the rest. So, analytics, there are far better people who can visualize charts out there than I can. So, let them do that. I will stick to my little corner of classification. I think sometimes when people start businesses or start new careers, they try to go too broad and try to be everything to everyone. And I know I certainly tried to do that. But if you focus in on one specific area that you can do, then it works well.
Yeah, that's such a good point, because been seeing so many articles online, or so many people trying to be the best data scientist who can visualize things the best, at the same time knows how to deploy models, knows DevOps, and can also create a beautiful interface for their models. And I'm like, that just doesn't sound realistic to me at all.
That's a unicorn, yeah. No, because I mean, it's probably even you're using different parts of the brain, and not generally you're either thinking on the left or the right hand side. You're not both. So yeah, it's near impossible to find someone that could do all of that.
Yeah. Yeah, and the sad thing is, I've seen a lot of aspiring data scientists kind of burn out, or they never feel like they're enough, because they still don't have that like last skill that they see online. Whereas even though they're actually very good at what they do and they have a lot of knowledge and skills, they still feel like they're not enough. But most of the time, they're even too much. So it's kind of sad to see.
It is, but I would also say, just apply for those jobs anyway. I
Definitely.
know, I know, I certainly did that when I was younger. I didn't necessarily have all the qualifications or skills, but it certainly got me to interview stage, and that in itself was really good experience.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. And why did you choose to work with data? I mean, okay, you took a job working with data and then you decided to go forward with it, but was there something special that connected you to working with data?
I think it found me. If my business hadn't failed the first time, then I wouldn't be doing this now. And I found that I just picked it up straight away. Just the specific one thing of classifying data, I could just do it really well. And I think because I had worked in a business and I understood what businesses were spending money on, that really helped. So I saw it from a different perspective. And for the first time in my life, I was doing something that I really enjoyed. It didn't feel like work, and that was like, wow, this is amazing. Get to do this and get paid.
Yeah, that's great to feel like that for something. I don't think that happens a lot.
No, it took me until my mid-30s to find that. So it doesn't always come at the start of your career. It can or come a lot later than that for some other people. So yeah, just have faith that everything you're doing now will lead to something better in the future if you're not happy right now.
All the skills that you get along the way, somehow you end up using them, right?
I have such a random mix of skills and experience that it's been perfect for everything that I'm doing now. I've worked a little bit in marketing, I've done selling, I have worked in retail, I've set up a business. I've done so many different bits that it's just all come together suddenly. I don't know where it'll take me next. Who knows where my journey will go.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And that kind of actually brings me to my next question. Do you have any plans for your business in the coming years? Where would you like to go?
Yeah, so I would like to grow. I'm getting to the point where I'm getting quite busy now, and really, I need a team to help me with the work. And actually, I should just be more overseeing the work than doing all of it. Now I'm a bit of a control freak, so it's very hard for me to relinquish control. But I am learning to slowly outsource different tasks and try and they always say work on the business, not in the business. So I'm trying to kind of take time to have a bit of a step back and work on the business and have other people do some of the work. Also, longer term, maybe in about 10 years' time, it would be nice to sell the business if it's, still successful. And then I could leave a legacy of cleaner data and make people aware of it. And I'm currently writing a book which is due out towards the later half of next year. So again, hopefully that will get people thinking about how they look at their data, how they view it, and the importance of clean data.
So you kind of want to be like an ambassador in that sense for clean data.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice. I think that's a really good vision.
Obviously, lots of money would be nice, but that's not my driving motivation. I really genuinely started this business because I didn't know where I could get a job doing what I wanted to do, and I just wanted to pay the bills. And that's still the case. Yes, it's growing, and I get to buy nicer things now. But I don't want to be super super successful millionaire type person. I'm quite happy just living comfortably and getting to spread the word about clean data
Yeah, I think that's a very, very nice goal to have.
and having fun.
Yeah, I definitely empathize with that too. Because, yeah, I also don't have, idea or like dreams about being a millionaire living in like a penthouse in New York or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, and also it doesn't make you any less ambitious
Yeah.
because of that. I genuinely love what I do, and that's what drives me.
Hmm.
Obviously, you have to pay the bills, which is also a motivation, but it's not my only motivation.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like also the challenges that having your own business brings together is so fulfilling at the same time.
Yeah,
It's just so many things to think about, so many things you need to focus on at the same time, but it's such a great personal growth opportunity too.
definitely.
And can you tell us a little bit about some examples of projects that you've done with your business so far?
Yeah, so the thing I love most about my work is that my projects are so varied. So earlier this year, I worked for a client in Germany, and they had a head office with about 500 hubs around the country. And they were all buying products in, and every single hub was creating a SKU number for their products. So, say it was a tin of Coca Cola,
Hmm.
every single hub would have its own code for that Coca Cola rather than using a master list. So I went through 30 odd thousand SKUs, codes, products, and grouped them and tried to give them a standard code. So I think I got it down to about 24,000. So, and some of the descriptions were awful. It just said Coke or Coca Cola. There was no sizing. There was no anything like that. It was crazy. Yeah. But, for them, it was great because suddenly they could see just by me grouping the products together, not necessarily with a code, but just what they were, they could see that certain hubs were buying things from suppliers at a higher price than the preferred supplier. So they could then go in, make sure that they were buying from the right place and saving money. And then COVID hit, unfortunately, so it hit them really badly. Um, Another client, I am just finishing off a project. It started with 2.3 million rows of data. We're up to about 3.4 million rows of data now. And they didn't really have any classification that was of any use on that data. So I normalized the suppliers from about 43,000 down to 34,000. So imagine that, nearly 10,000 suppliers, like duplicates of the same name. And then I've been through and built them a taxonomy, and I'm classifying all that information, and they're suddenly getting all this visibility that they've never had before. So they're really happy. And then, I think I worked for a retailer last year, and they had a lot of returns coming back for their clothing. So, and there was free text answers as to why the products were being returned. So I grouped the products into product type. Then I classified the return reason and categorized it into kind of like too big, too small, doesn't suit me, da 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 da. And then suddenly they could see, that there was reasons within particular product groups that they could do something about. So one of their products, people kept returning it because it was too big. So just by putting something like a message on their website to say this is actually quite large, they could save lots of money by having to collect the product and then possibly send out another one. So there's loads of different ways that you can categorize data to get what you need from it.
I feel like also the work that you described just now is super creative because you have some sort of a problem that they hand out to you, they give you the data, and then you have to come up with a solution yourself.
Yeah, oh, I am the problem solver. All my clients who come to me are already way into the problem and are desperate for some help, and think they all think they have the worst data. And normally they don't. There's always one that does have really bad data, but normally I can say, look, actually this isn't as bad as you think, even though they think it's the worst thing in the world. So you can kind of reassure them and tell them that you can fix it.
No, this is really fun work. It's also like one of my favorite things to do is like you're doing, just tidy up the data and then make sure that it's in a way that you can actually use and get insights from it. And it's just such a fun thing to do.
It's therapeutic.
Yeah, definitely.
I like all the order and the tidiness of it afterwards.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's a great job for a control freaks.
Yeah, control freaks and OCD. Yeah.
Yeah. And how does your normal weekday look like then while you're doing this? Is all your work just working with data, or do you have some other sort of tasks that take your time?
Oh, oh my goodness. So my weeks don't have any kind of structure at all. Um, I charge a project fee for my clients, so I don't have to sit and time every single minute. So,
Hmm.
I will do 5, 10, 20 minutes or maybe an hour and a half on one thing, and then I'll be on LinkedIn for a little bit. Then I'll be creating some new posts or making some new videos. I might be speaking at an event. I might be doing a podcast. I might be doing more work. I might be have client meetings. I have lots of those as well. Networking events. I still try and go to some of those too. So it's pretty crazy, but I love the variety in it. It's so good. I get bored very easily, so this keeps me occupied.
Yeah, that's nice. So it also sounds like a lot of your work is sort of people facing too.
Yeah, I spend a lot of time on Zoom. Actually, a lot more than I did before lockdown.
I'm sure you also need to kind of make sure you communicate to your clients what you're doing, make them understand that this solution is going to work rather than a different solution, or like, why you're doing the things that you're doing.
Yeah. And also, I think I'll be realistic about what I can achieve and in how long. And I'll always keep them informed along the way, whether I think it's going to work out, whether we're going to deliver on time. And you know what? Automation software is wonderful. Technology is great, but sometimes you just need the good old fashioned do it by hand. And that's me. There's, there's, all my clients could easily do what I do in house or themselves, but it would take them months and months, if not years, to do a lot of what I do. So I'm the easy option. Just make life easier for them.
And it's also not only the doing itself, right? It's also the decision. You are informed about this, you know about the data and how to deal with it. So at the end, it will probably take them much longer to come to the same conclusion as you, saying, okay, this is what we need to do.
Definitely. And I think because I have seen a number of different data sets across a number of different clients and industries, there are some things that are the same no matter what data set you look at.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's like when I said that they thought they had the worst data set, they might think we're the only people in the world that have this. And it's like, no, I see this in every data set. People can't spell regardless of where they come from, what level of seniority they have, or the amount of education. People still can't spell.
Yeah, I guess it's like a universal rule. And what tools do you use for this work?
So I have some software called Omniscope. It's data modeling and visualization software. And it's the only one I know of that where I can model the data and edit it in the same view.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of in the visualization part, I do my classification and have my own system that I've developed to classify efficiently. Then, if the client wants their data refreshed, so maybe in a month or a quarter's time, I can take the data that I've already classified and model that with the new data and map over anything that matches. So then a large chunk of the work is done without actually having to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
So it just semi automates the process. But I'd still always check it just to make sure.
Yeah. And what about the soft skills? What do you think what kind of soft skills do you think someone would need to do what you're doing right now?
Again, I'm in that really kind of fortunate position that I am somewhere in the middle of the data world and the business world, kind of straddle both. I think it's really important to understand that the business doesn't understand tech language. You have to really talk to them in the most simplistic terms that they can relate to. Don't make it intimidating. And again, I have worked with some tech people that you just wouldn't let them near the clients because it just wouldn't end well. So yeah, but not, it's knowing where your skills and your strengths are, and if you know that you're not a people person, get someone else to do that bit.
And of all the things that we talked about so far, what is the most exciting thing for you about your job?
It's the unpredictability. I mean, I never know where my next piece of work is coming from, what it's going to be. Is it going to be a big one or is it going to be something smaller? Um, I could not have imagined how much things would have changed for me this year. When I started the year, I had a terrible year last year. My last year was my COVID year. I had about 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 5 months of the year where there was virtually no work at all. And I sat in February, March this year, and said to my friend, I don't know how much longer I can keep going. This is really tough. I had set myself some goals to get some speaking events and also get some podcasts, but it was like I think it was one speaking event or two speaking events and one podcast or something like that. And now I have done over 10 podcasts. I've probably done over 10 speaking events. Um, I'm writing a book, which is just crazy. I don't even like reading, but I'm writing a book. Um, you know, there's, I mean, I sat with someone, did an interview in March, and said, "Oh, one day I'd like to write a book, and like I'd like to have a team," and all that happened this year. And that's just crazy because it felt so unbelievably impossible at the start of the year.
Yeah, sometimes you have ups and downs in life, and when you're in the downs, you don't really realize that things can actually get better. And once they get better, you're like, huh.
I always believed that what I was doing had legs and that it was a good business. But I was just waiting for that opportunity, and it felt like it was never coming. And you just have to keep faith. It's like it doesn't matter whether it's a business or whether you're looking for a job. You just have to have faith that there's something better and there's something coming around the corner. And you might not know when that is or how long it will be, but you have to just keep having faith that it's going to happen.
Yeah, I also found that it's a lot about persistence. You really have to, if you think that you found something that you're really happy doing, you just have to keep at it for a while because really nothing happens in a matter of months. Sometimes you need to work on something for years before you see some real value coming out of it.
Yeah, so everyone keeps saying, "Oh, you've done so well this year," and it's like, yeah, but this has been years of like making content and just being consistent and showing up every day or showing up more every week, doing more things and more things and more
Yeah,
things.
yeah. It's a lot of work, but it's worth it.
Oh, absolutely.
It's also the freedom is so awesome, right? Having your own business, you don't answer
Oh,
to anyone.
I mean, the things I can do with my content that would not get past a marketing or legal department in a business. Yeah, I can just have so much fun, and there's nobody to tell me I can't do anything.
Yeah, I'll make sure to leave a link in the show notes for the Classification Guru YouTube channel. It's just the most fun videos.
Well, the lip syncs are on there too. That's not even anything really to do with data, but people seem to enjoy that as well. So
Yeah. And also for our audience who is maybe interested in setting up their business similar to you, how do you get projects? Do clients reach out to you, or do you seek out and find them?
So in the beginning, I did try to go and find them, but because I have such a specialist niche skill, it's like finding a needle in a haystack. It's really hard. So by exhibiting at events, networking, and then doing everything that I do on LinkedIn, now my clients find me generally via LinkedIn. And by the time they come to me, they're like, "We know you can help us. How much is it going to cost?" That's pretty much where I've got to, which is just amazing.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, yeah, you're doing a lot of content marketing, right? To show to people what you can do.
Oh yeah, and it's yeah, but the problem is you start it and then people enjoy it, so you make more, and then they enjoy that, so then you make more, and then you have to keep going. But I mean, I really do enjoy
Yeah,
it. So
yeah, it looks like you do. And what about the most boring part of your job?
oh, paperwork and admin, financial stuff, invoices, and I'm terrible at financial stuff. So, which is crazy considering I help people save money for a living. But yeah, I'm not so good at that. But I'm like really organized when it comes to other people's data. But in my own life, it's a bit chaotic. Can't be good at everything though. Have to channel all my energy into being good at data.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, you can also get help anytime you want for financial or admin issues.
Yeah, again, it's letting go. I have to let go.
And how is it being a woman in this area? Have you encountered any bias?
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I exhibited a couple of years ago, and I had my stand, and I mean, all the companies that were there, all this, either the owners or the senior managers were all male. The only really females that were there were marketing ladies. So I'm on my stand, and this happened twice in one day with two different people. Older gentleman walked by and said, "Oh, you're on your own?" I was like, "Yeah, yeah." "Oh, is this your business?" "Yeah, yeah." And they're like, "Good for you." And he's like, "Thank you." And I've worked with a lot of guys before, and I do feel like there's a different atmosphere when I'm around, or when I was. But it's certainly, you know, I don't know. They just were more polite, I guess. Even if I was swearing away and doing this and that and the next thing, and you can't. You just have to get on and do your own thing. To be honest,
Yeah.
um, it's not stopped me in any way. But again, I think that's the stubbornness in me as well. But I have worked in corporates in my younger years where I definitely couldn't go any further because I was a woman.
Seriously.
But then, yeah, all the guys would go and play golf or football together, and then they'd get promoted, and then it was a competition amongst the females as to who would get the token job. I've had female bosses who were not supportive at all. But in that instance, I left. I think you have to realize that sometimes one person can't change a whole culture. So yeah, I left and did something else instead. But that was the best thing for me to do because I ended up with the shop, and then now I'm here. So
So yeah, it's just so great that you found your way to your own business. And yeah, as you said, sometimes it takes a couple of businesses to find just the right one for yourself.
yeah, and again, it's that self belief thing. So I don't really care whether it's a male or a female that might not think what I have to say is of interest or of use. In fact, actually, I'm really lucky that I have virtually no trolls. And I know by saying that, I'm just inviting trouble, but I'm pretty non offensive. Even though I do have like strong opinions on things, I don't particularly offend anyone. I'm just me. And, you can't really argue with that if you're just yourself, not trying to hide anything.
Yeah, and it's also I feel like it makes it easier to when you're just yourself. It makes it easier to deal with negativity too. You're not trying to be something else, so you could just brush it off as like, well, this is me.
Yeah, I went on a LinkedIn live and there was a guy that trolled me while I was live. And I went back and saw the comment afterwards. So I took a screen grab and then I made a post about it. And I shamed him to my whole network and got him banned from LinkedIn. And it wasn't a particularly nice comment about me, but I wasn't embarrassed to share it because there's lots of women who probably get comments like that or similar that would be too embarrassed to share. So I thought, no, I'm gonna teach him a lesson.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think that that's the biggest strength that we have, right? To just not be ashamed by
Yeah.
being trolled because we didn't do anything
Oh,
wrong.
I have fun with them. I like to troll the trolls. So
Nice. Do you have any advice for someone who wants to get into a data career?
yeah, just get experience anywhere you can. So obviously start by reading, YouTubing, learn however you find you learn best, and then try and get experience. And it might be, maybe do some test data sets that you can find online, or go on these freelancer websites and take these projects that pay you absolute peanuts, but get the experience. And then you've got something that you can say you've done that's a tangible thing. And find what you like. What if you think you want to be a data scientist and then get started and realize you don't want to be that? You want to be a data analyst or something completely different. Just try things out. See what and don't just be a data scientist. Specialize in something that you like. There wasn't a spend data classification job really. I just kind of made one.
Yeah, sometimes you just create your own paths in life. And yeah, what you said is really good advice. I also try to mention it anytime I can. Sometimes you just need to start trying things before you can really know if that's for you or not. Because there's so many little things in a job that might make you hate it. that that romantic view of data science, or in general data careers that they're painting online, is most of the time is just like the 1% of people are having that much fun.
Yeah, and the biggest thing I hear is that all these highly skilled people come out of university and get landed with their first real life data set, and they don't know how to deal with it because they've been in kind of test conditions. So try and go on the web and try and find some real life dirty data and fix it. And you generally have to work at things for them to become good. So, you know, I'm in a great place today, but that's taken 3 years of hard work and not being able to pay lots of bills and stuff. And it's very unlikely that you would be able to just walk out of being recently qualified or self-qualified or self-taught and just walk into a dream job. It doesn't work like that. You have to, yeah, well, it's like they say, you have to kiss a few frogs before you find your prince. And it's the same with jobs. Sometimes you have to do some really awful jobs to get to where you need to be.
Yeah, I totally agree with this. Yeah, it's very unrealistic to expect that your first job will be your dream job, or first job in a different career.
Even that you like it,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, and it's somehow it's also better, I feel like, because you then know what you don't like, what you don't want to do, and that really decreases the number of options you have for your future.
But it's so much easier to change jobs now than it was when I was graduated, which was nearly 20 years ago. There was still a bit of a job for life kind of expectation from your parents at that point. You choose your career and you stick to it for life. And so if you moved to jobs within 2 or 3 years, that was considered really bad. Whereas now, 2 or 3 years is like the how long people stay in jobs. If you stay any longer than that, there's you think something's wrong with you. So, this is the best time to try things, because I spent a lot of time having to justify all the different jobs I had when I was younger.
No, that's a really good point. Definitely, right now I feel like people are no one really assumes things about you if you change jobs quickly,
No, not at all.
because they just understand that you're looking for something that's better for you. And I think now people also respect you for being able to change jobs when it's time, and not really pushing yourself unnecessarily to stay in the same career.
I think people are given much more of a chance and an opportunity now than they ever were before.
Well, Susan, thanks for coming on the show. Thanks for taking the time to be here. It was an awesome conversation with
Thanks for
you,
having me.
and I'm really happy to have met you.
Yeah, I loved it. Thanks very much.
Hey, thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to take my free data science Kickstarter course to learn what it takes to become a data scientist. See you next time.